Good afternoon, men and brethren, Jews and Gentiles. Today we're looking at a linear actuator that I have built out of a, linear actuator. But I've put these end switches on it. And this is a very simple ladder logic through relays and end switches. There is nothing complicated at all about this, but it is incredibly hard for some people to understand. So, take notes as we go along. We've got a set of yellow wires going to this end switch. We've got a set of orange wires going to this end switch. Okay, take note of that. So right now, this end switch, this connection right here is open. So we're going to go the other way until this end switch opens. Okay, y'all saw that. So now this end switch is open as we're telling it to go this way. So now we'll tell it to go this way, and it'll go this way until this end switch opens. Oh, how did that work? How am I controlling it, do you ask? Well, by means of this wire right here. I'm applying 12 volts to this lead here, this blue lead, and that's what's controlling the action. So as long as there is no 12 volts applied to this actuator is going to drive down in this position. It's going to drive down until either this end switch opens, this wire is reconnected to 12 volts, or the battery goes dead, or the motor burns out, or the end of time happens. So now I will apply 12 volts to this, and we're driving up. And we will drive up until this end switch opens. Easy enough to understand. Okay, pause it here. So I've got you zoomed in here as close as I can zoom it, and you can kind of see through the side of my ice cube relay here. Now this is the control relay. In reality, instead of being a Schneider ice cube relay, when I do this for real, it's just going to be a standard old Delphi relay, Bosch relay out of a car instead of a Schneider relay. These are two pole, two throw, and this is single pole, double throw. So in the back here, your back set of leads on an ice cube relay, you've got back here in the back, closest to your mounting pad, those are your coil wires. So you can see I've got a blue wire, that's my enable, disable, I guess you could say it, in, out, however you wanted to say that, and there's a ground. And now, on the first pole, closest to the back on a Schneider relay, you've got a common. So you can see this terminal here connects to this gray lead that comes up to here, and that gray lead hits to this finger, and here's your points. So you've got this is actually the normally open position. That's the normally closed position. So normally closed, you're making this to the inside to the outside. And in the other position, the normally open position, you're making the inside to the inside. So you can clearly see here that when I am not applying power to my select lead, this relay is sending signal out to the yellow. When I am applying power, this relay is sending signal out to the orange. Power applied, power lifted, power applied, power lifted. So as we're sending power to the yellow, that signal is coming out through the yellow wires going through this end switch. Comes back from that end switch to this relay. For convenience sakes, I put the orange relay, or the go that way relay, by the go that way end switch, and the go that way relay by the go that way end switch. So our lower end switch goes to yellow, which goes to our lower ice cube relay, and that signal controls this relay. So you can't really see it, but the commons on these are my battery, and then the normally opens on both of these are a motor direction. So this is direction 1, this is direction 2. So that's about how this works. It's pretty simple stuff, and I'm going to run it through the cycles a few times. Now remember, our direction select switch, or lead, it controls our top relay, controls that relay. This lead controls that relay, and then that selects which one of these wires here gets signal. When that signal runs through the end switch, it either comes back to this relay or this relay, and that relay directs the motor to go either suck it in or push it out. So we'll run her through a cycle here. Okay, we're fully sucked in. Now it's going to push out until it hits that end switch. Poof, tripped the end switch. Okay, I've released my power. You can see we're now applying power to the yellow lead. We're traveling down until it trips the yellow end switch. It just did, so we released that relay. Now we're going to apply power here. It's going to change the position of this relay, send a signal through the orange. Going to come back through the orange end switch because it is currently closed. That will apply a signal here that will change the state of this relay and energize the motor to push it out. Very good. So now pay attention what happens here after the end of this rod trips that. Did you notice that it took it about 1/2 inch to spool down? As after it shut the relay off, we had another 3/8 or 1/2 of an inch of travel in this. So I had to make something up to take care of that over travel. So those of y'all that's unfamiliar with what one of these actually is, it's called a linear actuator. They're everywhere in the world. This one, I believe, was a deck lift mechanism off of a fancy lawnmower. So the way this works, you've got a 12-volt DC electric motor, and you've got a series of bull gear reduction in here. I don't know how much the reduction is, but it's a pretty deep gear reduction through here, a little gearbox. And then that drives a screw, and this is a ball, like a ball lead screw, a ball screw in here. And that drives that screw clockwise or counterclockwise, and the nut is affixed to this shaft. So there is a certain amount of reaction torque on this shaft. So part of what this does is arrests that reaction torque and contains it so that this does not try to twist on me. I don't want this to twist. and we'll get over to the workbench and I'll show you the second thing that this device does. Oop, this device. So here's our device. Now you'll remember this part right here was affixed to the end of the rod of the linear actuator, and this went through our guide bushings. So let's pop this apart. Boing, boing. So, in order to take up that last 3/8 of free travel, like when the electric motor shuts off, you'll remember the rod traveled an additional about 3/8 of an inch. So I made up this spring buffer to take that up. So this collar is captured on this shaft, which sticks out the end of everything. And there's a perch pocket up in the top of this. There's a perch up here, a pocket up here that captures this end of the spring, the top end. And then the bottom end is resting on top of the rod as it goes into here, so that you have some give. These springs have about 3/4 of an inch of crush. May have mentioned these are just valve springs out of some random motor that was setting up on the shelf and here in the shop. And that's all this does, is just arrest that motion so that I don't have I don't have so much over travel from my linear actuator to where it busts and tears up the device that it's controlling. This is designed, I'm going to use this to open and shut a gate or a door, an air door for cooling air for my generator. So I hope that was clear as mud. If you guys have got any questions, ask them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. I may even do a follow-up video if there's weird questions where I haven't explained something properly. But I think by using those ice cube relays, it allows a person to wrap their head around what's actually going on inside of a relay so that you can see it happening. So, y'all drive safe.
And watch for deer.
And watch for deer. And what else? And watch for deer?
Yeah.
Where'd all your teeth go?
About all down on my throat.
Oh, you got your teeth knocked down your throat.